How's it going, dudes? Today we're going to discuss how to train for a handstand with the help of my good friend Roy. I talk in a fast pace with a lot of information, so pause the video whenever needed. Alright, so the best way to learn a new movement is to understand the fundamentals and to know your own body strength and weaknesses. This way you can set up your own program that is designed for your body. And remember, everyone is built differently, so don't just copy someone else's program. With all this said, let's go over some requirements that I think are needed to train effectively and to build a strong foundation. Understanding and performing the correct body posture, but not on the hands yet. With basic shoulder strength, it's easier to maintain handstand position instead of only relying on your balance. And when you have good shoulder flexibility, you can fully open up the shoulders to perform straight alignment. Part 1. Body shape. Body line can be taught without balance, but balancing is harder without the correct body line. This is extremely important, guys, so part 1 is all about performing the correct body line. So let's go over the most important joints and muscles. You want to keep your toes pointed, extend your knees, tilt your pelvis backward, extend your hips, elevate your shoulders, have a slight cervical extension, and have good wrist strength and mobility. We start with the pelvis tilted back. By tilting your pelvis backward, you flatten and reduce stress on your lower back in the handstand. With these exercises, you can practice and control your pelvis. Start off easy on the ground, then against the wall, and at last you practice it freestanding. I just want to note that the position of your pelvis relies heavily on the opening of your shoulder girdle. So if you're just starting, it is more important that you focus on opening the shoulder girdle. Extending your shoulders. Pushing out your shoulders will give you a straighter alignment and give you more control while performing a handstand. Look at the difference between these two examples. In the first example, you see Roy passively hanging in his shoulders. In the second example, he is actively pushing out his shoulders. This way he gains more control and a better alignment. You can first start with scapula push-ups, then scapula pike push-ups, and at last you have the scapula wall push-up. Wrist strength and mobility. The wrists are always the bottleneck when starting to practice the handstand. In the beginning of our training, our wrists are not used to carry all our body weight upon them. It can be a huge drain. Therefore, it's important to train them in terms of strength and mobility to prevent injury. So make it a habit to always have your wrist routine before you start your training. If it's too much for your wrist with your hands flat on the ground, you can also start with parallettes. Beware though, it requires more balance that way. End of part 1, body shape. Part 2 is about starting the handstand, and we break it down in segments. We are going to talk about the fear of being upside down, the kick-up technique, the kick-out technique, the hands entry, fission, opening the shoulder girdle, wall exercises, and at last the freestanding handstand. One of the first obstacles that people run into when trying to start a handstand is the fear of falling over or the fear of being upside down, which is a natural response, but with a bit of practice you should get over that fear rather fast. You can start with a small cartwheel and build it up higher and higher to get more comfortable with being upside down. The kick-up technique is important because this is how you initiate the movement. Always plant your hands steady on the ground when you start. You want to sweep your back leg into the air to set yourself off. Try to maintain this leg straight instead of bending. With your front leg you want to push yourself off. Try to push yourself off with only the ball of your feet. Practice and practice until you find the right spot between pushing and sweeping. So there are multiple ways to kick out of the handstand, and for now we do the most common one, that's called the twist out. The twist out is a combination of gently falling to the side while turning your wrist. A cue to this movement is putting one arm in front of you, like Roy is showing, so you go down naturally to the side. Knowing how to set up your hands in the handstand will benefit the stability and control greatly. Put your hands shoulder width apart, spread your fingers and flex them by pushing them into the ground. This way you gain control to push yourself back when you tend to fall over. Here's an example. This is a neutral position of the wrist where you are completely in balance without having to push or counterbalance with your body. Now if you were to lean more forward, you can push off with your fingers to get back in balance. Here we see Roy moving too far forward, and by pushing off with his fingertips he regains balance again. If you move too far back, you can't control it anymore with your fingers because you cannot push off with anything. Then you need to compensate with your upper body or you bend your arms, like we see Roy doing in this clip. Vision has proven to be a very important role in balance control when performing a handstand. When you perform your handstand, your eyes are closer to the floor than when you're standing up. You want to focus your gaze in the middle of your hands, 5 cm in front of your wrist. This has been shown to help improve stability. This way your gaze is closer to the ground and you're not breaking your body line. Being able to open up the shoulder girdle plays a huge factor in getting a straight body line. This is kind of a tricky one because it requires some mobility and flexibility of your shoulder girdle. I will make a separate video for this later. Look at the differences between these two positions and the effects they have on the handstand. By not opening the shoulders fully, you can't get a straight alignment. To fix this, try to elevate your shoulders as much as possible while pushing your chest forward and retracting at the same time your shoulder blades. Another exercise for this is the one you see here. You want to do the exact same thing. Elevate your shoulders, push your chest to the ground and retract your shoulder blades. Make sure that the arch you make comes from the upper mid back instead of the lower back. Wall handstands are great for alignment and building shoulder strength. This makes your handstand way more stable. One of my favorite exercises is the wall walk. It builds solid strength and lets you practice the alignment at the end of the movement when you're completely facing the wall. The nice thing with this exercise is that you can build up the courage to stand more and more upside down if you don't dare to do it yet. Alright dudes, now it's time to incorporate all the previous information into a handstand. Try to stay patient and work on it step by step. To close this video, I just want to give you some last quick tips to complement your training. Consistency is key. It's better to have a lot of short training sessions in the week than just one heavy. Try for example 4 sessions a week of 20 minutes and see if your wrist can take it. The volume of your training is more important than the intensity of your training. Don't forget to breathe. Keeping tension in your body is good, but don't overdo it. Always breathe to keep a certain relaxation in your body. Film yourself. That way you can record your progression and see what you're doing right and wrong. Get a spotter. A spotter can give you guidance and cues to improve while handstanding. Alright dudes, I hope this tutorial will be helpful in your training and let me know how it goes. If you liked the video, give a like and subscribe because I have way more videos coming up. Have a nice day.